Hello and welcome everyone to our video. We are the Group 2 and this is our laboratory experiment in the Sandbox model. I am Jan Paul Solvita, the leader of the group, together with my group mates Rolly Sawad, Grace Gray, Riza May Tarinay, and Ed Harvey Reyes. So in this experiment, we will be testing one soil with different slope and different compactions. Before we start the experiment, let us first check the rainfall intensity of our sprinkler. We prepared catchments by cutting plastic bottles in half with 55mm diameters. We used the 5 catchments and named them as A, B, C, D, and E, and they are 10 cm away from each other. So, we turn on the sprinkler for 15 seconds and these are the results as projected on the screen. By averaging the rainfall intensities from each point, we found that the average rainfall intensity of our sprinkler is 7,394.47 mm per hour. Here is our experimental layout projected on a screen, a 2-factorial completely randomized design. Firstly, we gathered the soil. We only use one kind of soil. This is a clay silt, mountain, agricultural soil from a banana plantation in Gomgop, Tabuk City, Kalinga. We also gathered gravel to use as the bottom layer in every test we made. We used a 1-inch height of the gravel and a width 50 cm length. Before we started the test, we prepared the soil by pulverizing and removing impurities like roots. Now, for test A1, B1, R1 with 0.4 slope, not compacted soil, we shaped the soil to a height of 20 cm and a length of 50 cm. We can see a somewhat even runoff at first, but rills easily form afterwards. Around the upper part of the slope, it seems at first that a stream would form a hallway as it erodes, but a terracing effect starts to happen. compact the soil, we use a piece of 2x4 wood and tamp down the soil to become more dense. Now for a test A1, B2, R1 with 0.4 slope with a compacted soil, we shape the soil to a height of 20 cm and the length of 50 cm. Compared to the previous test, runoff occurred much quicker, most likely because the water has lesser pores to go into since the soil is more compact. Notice in the streams being created, there's a zigzagging pattern, so meandering is occurring during the test. From our findings in comparing these two tests, more erosion occurred in not compacted soil as compared to the compacted soil. Now, for test A2B1R1 with a 0.6 slope with not compacted soil, we shape the soil to a height of 30 cm and length of 50 cm. The regular patterns that seems to be occurring is in the not compacted soil. The water infiltrates easier, then when it reaches full of capacity, the soil gets heavier and erodes. Now for test A2B1R1 with a slope of 0.6 with compacted soil, we shape the soil to a height of 30 cm and length of 50 cm. So for these two tests at 0.6 slope, checking all the data we gathered, it seems that the same pattern occurred. More erosion occurred on the non-compacted soil as compared to the compacted soil. Now, for test A3B1R1 with 0.8 slope with not compacted soil, we shape the soil to a height of 40 cm and length of 50 cm. Lastly, we have A3B2R1 with a slope of 0.8, and with compacted soil, we shape the soil into a height of 40 cm and length of 50 cm. For our experiment, we also wanted to have a control test wherein the soil is flat, but our problem is we cannot keep the level of the soil at the end of the length flat since the soil was not cohesive. We tried to do the control in different heights, but even at a 5 cm height, the soil will not stay flat at the end. We cannot consider these following tests that you will see as controls because the very steep slope at the end of the soil create a pulling effect when it erodes at that steep area, affecting how it erodes in that flat area. You can watch the 3 tests if you want, just to see the effect of a sudden steep slope on different height of soil. Overall, for more accurate result, we should have created at least 2 replications for each test. The recommendation I would want to give is compacting soil is better for less steep slope, but a test on 45 degrees or slope of 1 would also be something to consider before I would make a conclusion. Thanks for watching and stay curious.